if we double tap on the map component, then we can start to configure this component a little bit. Now you can do the same thing by double tapping and opening the dialog box as you can if you go into the properties panel over here on the right hand side. I'm just going to do it here so you can see it fully in the center of the screen. If we want to place a single marker, then we can use the marker panel. If we want to use a bunch of markers, then we can use this sort of second panel down here. Let's have a play around with this top one first. So for example, we could, let's add a marker, and let's add a marker based on latitude and longitude. And I happen to know that the latitude for Kingston is 51.412319, and the longitude is -0.300440, like that. And I can just click on OK, and I can change the way that the map is displayed, the drag behavior, the zoom behavior. I can also change the dimensions. So for example, there's a zoom level here, and you can see the zoom level shows all these different levels. So let's try city. Let's try city first. So let's recreate the app. Fire it up. If we go into the map component now, and you can see it's showing us at a level of zoom which is city, and sort of roughly centrally located is a little marker, a little teardrop symbol that we're familiar with. We've seen that in Google Maps to indicate where that latitude and longitude was. I could go back into the properties panel, and I could go into here. We've got those values, we could change those values. We could go into dimensions, and let's say street level. So I click on OK, recreate the app. And of course what this is doing is this is showing us the level of zoom for when the map first opens up. So if I go into here, we've now zoomed in a bit, but of course we've still got the ability to zoom out or zoom in, like that. Just zoom out a bit, there we go. There's the teardrop symbol, and zoom in a bit, just like that. Okay, so the next step would be to not have a single sort of teardrop, but to actually show all of the values that we have, because of course inside our domain model we actually have all these values for latitude and longitude. So we'll do that in the next step. Let's configure the app. So I'm going to go back in here. Now I'm going to remove the single marker that I placed, because what I want to do now is I want to actually use a list of markers, lots and lots of different markers. So I'm going to use the second part of this panel. So I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to pick my, I'm going to say it's going to be based on latitude and longitude, and I'm going to say what particular data source we're interested in. And you can see there's lots of things that we can use for a data source here, but of course we've got some stuff that's inside the database. We've actually got an entity, student, and inside the entity we actually have that longitude and latitude values. So I'm just going to click OK. Now I can go in here and I can say, and it's saying, well, where is the latitude inside the student entity? And we have a field called latitude, and we have a field called longitude, which I can just select. So I've pointed the latitude field towards the latitude attribute inside the student entity. Similarly then, I pointed the longitude field at the longitude attribute inside the student entity. And let's give it a go. Now I'm just going to go back into dimensions, and I'm going to turn that back to city level so we can see what we're doing. Let's run it and let's see what happens. So I'll recreate the app. App is running. Let's view it. So now when I go into the map component, now at the moment, because of the way that the teardrops are laid out, as you'll see in a moment if I zoom out, it tries to show a sort of midpoint so that all the teardrops, all the markers would be shown, but obviously because we've got a student up here, it sort of shows us in the middle of nowhere. Let's zoom in a bit into London. We can scroll over, we can zoom in. Oops. Yeah, that's where I want to go, over this way. So we can come down into Kingston. There we are. So wouldn't it be nice if we got some information that would be visible when we sort of clicked or hovered over one of these teardrops? Let's try that out. I'll go back into the app, back into the configuration, and if we go back into the marker list bit, you'll see something that says here title, and it says what should be displayed when clicking the marker. So we can click on that, and let's say, for example, let's show the student name. So I select student name, save it, back into here, save and continue. App is running, let's try the app out. Go into the map component. Zoom out a little bit. Here we go. So let's zoom in. Let's find somebody. So now if I hover over a dot, what we should find is there we get a pop-up of the name of the person associated with that marker. Like that. Now, because we could go a little bit further than that. So let's go back into the property. And if I go back into the data source, I'm just going to sort of select none here for that, because there's also the facility to have an on-click event. And what we could actually do is we could show a page and we could show the student new edit page. So what's actually going on here is that the context of the marker will be of a single student. So if we elect to say, if a click occurs on that marker, on that single student, display the student new edit page. In other words, the form, hopefully it will have the student's details on that page. So let's give it a go. So if I go back, recreate the app. View the app. So now, if I start up the map component and zoom out a little bit, zoom in so we can find some of the students. And now, if I click an actual person here, there we go, it's the on-click event asks for the student new edit page to be displayed. And of course, the context means the actual student that we're viewing and clicking on at that time, their data is actually passed into that form. So we can see that I can bring particular details of one of the markers up. And we could certainly, I'm showing student details, of course, these could be anything. These could be restaurants and restaurants details popping up, something like that.